Hey guys, welcome to the channel. It is here, folks, the first Manor Lords patch, and along with its arrival is the departure of my free time this week, for it will be spent testing these new game mechanics. So definitely look out for more content on this topic this week and next week on the channel. Now keep in mind, this patch does have to be installed, so it's recommended that you back up your saves before you start playing on this new update, and you have to do that through the Steam store. I'll have exactly how to do that and the passkey to download it at the end of the video, so if you want to just skip forward to that, go for it. If you want to see what changes have been made, stick around, because here's what Greg has changed for the better or for the worse. With the 25 major changes alone, there are a few that stand out to me, and many of these descriptions are prefaced with an experimental tag, so they are subject to change. So the first of the major changes is more of an introduction. It's most likely going to be called the King's Tax. It says this tax is collected annually from all players, main player and AI, and goes to your liege. It's counted per population and therefore should become a counterbalance for players who hoard huge wealth despite having non-optimized economies. So basically they're saying late game comes around, you gotta kind of have an infrastructure in place, a healthy economy, functioning economy. Otherwise, your income of money through trade or through burgage plots, which we've discussed in previous videos, is gonna kind of come back and bite you in the ass. You have to really have a well-rounded village. Goes on to say, for now, the player can go in debt without consequence, but in the future, the player will lose King's favor, and eventually the King's army will show up as enemies for players who refuse to pay. So again, late game mechanic, really cool concept that they're adding to the late game, basically saying if you neglect to pay or you get in too much debt, there will be a knock at your door and some troops will be demanding some money. It continues to say later on, and this is prefaced with one of those experimental tags, when establishing a trade route, the merchants will no longer all spawn in the nearest trade point. Instead, the game will distribute the merchants to circle between various trade points in order to make building trade posts right on the edge of the region less optimal. And I really like that, actually. In one of my videos about trade, I actually was kind of suggesting, put your trade post right on the edge of the region closest to the trade point. That way you can just have money stacking up and trade coming in and out and in and out. They are changing that. That will no longer be a system in place. Again, it is experimental, apparently, so it may stick, it may not, but with that one I have a feeling it's gonna stick. A few others are listed under gameplay balance that are worth mentioning. One being experimental. When consuming food, people will now pick a random food source instead of eating food in a specific order. Again, with that one, I think that one will stick. Just seems to make sense to me. Also very beneficial when it comes to upgrading burgage plots. You won't have your berries being eaten before your vegetables, for example. It'll kind of be dispersed, allowing more variety of food when it comes to meeting those requirements to upgrade the burgage plots. The next couple updates are also listed as experimental. However, I feel like they're going to stick. They involve the farming system, which in my opinion is a little broken, especially when it comes to crop rotation and yields. I know a lot of the community agrees with that, and these ones read, fertility is no longer drained after crop growth reaches 100%, so that always micromanaging early harvest is no longer a preferred strategy. Yield may still increase over 100% growth if max yield is not reached. The next one goes on to say, when harvesting, the crops are directly added to the field inventory instead of the villager inventory. This was done to ensure that harvesting walk times aren't the main bottleneck for farming, especially for large fields. We all know the biggest bottleneck of the game, most likely, is the time traveled. It's not efficient to place, your storages here, have your market here, etc. So this, I think, will be a huge benefit to the player. There's a side note that says moving harvest season to August is also possible in a future patch if needed. So they are paying attention to the farming system. They are hearing everyone out. It's good to hear that. Greg is also allowing us to add a second oxen to our farmhouse. A couple more of the noticeable ones in the gameplay and balance category. The cost of opening new trade routes now scales exponentially with every open trade route. The base cost of opening a trade route was increased from 12 to 20, and that's before the good value multiplier. So basically that says every single time you open a trade route, it's going to get more expensive. So we're pretty much going to have to strategize what trade routes we want to buy based on what resources we can stock. Moving on to some of the notable minor changes, one of them being mindfulness. Villagers traveling through the towns will now have a more realistic visual response to fellow villagers in congestion in the streets. There is also being an animation added to have villagers carry the dead bodies over their shoulder to the body pit. And at the bottom of the update list is the cosmetics, which I will read through quickly. There are only a few. We have a added new patron saint banner graphic, added a carried dead body visualization as we spoke about, made debris piles aligned to ground slope, fixed the throw torch animation, new upgraded retinue helmet variation, fixed the armor clipping through the leg of the upgraded retinue puffy sleeve, new upgraded retinue body variation, new upgraded retinue helmet variation, increased the location precision for animals standing in the stables, fixed the praying animation, fixed the wrong door orientation for level 2 cottage variation B, adjusted the two-handed weapon default idle pose to have a more natural stance, new militia helmet variation, fixed some male armor variants clipping with helmets on T3 militia units, and reworked level 2 granary model with proper animated doors. So there are going to be some visual or some cosmetic changes as well. Everything is really pointing towards the health and the future of this game and its community. I really love that they came out with this patch so quickly, and that they're saying, you know, like, a lot of these changes are experimental. We may keep some, we may get rid of some, or alter some even farther. Not only did the game have high expectations, but it kind of nailed it for the most part upon release. They're listening to the community, they're making changes for the better, and I'm really excited to see where this game goes in the future. I spoke about earlier how this is a patch that requires an install. It's not going to automatically update your game, and the steps are listed in the Steam update page for Manor Lords, and the directions are open Steam, right-click on Manor Lords in your library, select Properties, go to Betas tab, enter the password Very Nice Basket. Choose pre-release from the beta participation drop-down list and wait for the game to update the files. If nothing happens, just simply restart Steam and launch the game. Again, it is suggested that you back up your files that you've put all your time into, just in case it gets a little squirrely on you. And with all that being said, guys, I did skip over a lot of stuff. I suggest you go to the Manor Lords Steam page and check out the full list of updates on this new patch that came out today, May 10th, 2024. Continue to enjoy the game as I do. I cannot wait to see where this game takes us. And with all that being said, guys, have a blessed day.